What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe, the host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads and fathers. It's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care, and being part of that team in 2022 and 2021, reached out directly and indirectly to over 100,000 fathers around the world. As always, I'd like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem, and blackalicious too. So let's talk about some things, get out of the way first before we get to our conversation with two new friends to the Dr. Vibe Show family, but I've known these outstanding Black men for a long time. So let's talk about it. First things first, if you haven't, please subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. And also, please like the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Also, if you want to advertise your business, product, or service on this platform, please email me at dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. Well, a little backstory here. For those who may or may not know, I live in Canada. You may not know that, but I do live in Canada. I've been living in Canada for a long time. And one of the things I'm very passionate about is manhood, Black men, Black fathers, etc., etc. AKA, that's why I have the alignment and the collaboration with Dove Men Plus Care. But not too often we get to hear things from a Black Canadian men's lens. Yes, we're going to be talking about the world of Black Canadian men tonight. And there'll be some things that may be similar that you've heard before, maybe from other Black men around the world. And there may be some things that are different, but we're going to have a conversation that's going to entertain, educate, empower, and enlighten you tonight. So before we go any further, the main reason why we're here tonight is there's an epic event happening September 30th. And I'm going to put it up on the screen so you can take a look at it. So let me just put it up here for you, family, and you can see it's the Black Men Wellness Retreat at ADINKRAFARM. It's an all-day, all-inclusive retreat where Black men can experience self-care. And you know what? Black men need self-care just like everybody else. So we're going to talk about it tonight. I would go through all the things it is going to do, but I'm going to let my two friends. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off the screen share and bring up two outstanding gentlemen who I've known for a while. And they have gray, and the only reason they have gray is because they've been working hard, and the only reason you don't see it on me because I've shaved. I got a bald head. So blessed, highly favored. And a magnet miracles to have Paul Osbourne and Kofi Coach, or aka Brother Kofi. Gentlemen, what is going on? How we doing?
I'm great. Thank you for having us here. Big fan of the show. My brother. Great to be here, and really just connect, not just with yourself, but with your audience, Brother Kofi. But I'm doing good, man. We can't complain. We're in Toronto. We're nice.
Okay. Brother Kofi, how we doing?
I'm giving thanks, brother. We're squeezing out the little bit of the summer that we have left. You know what I mean? Still trying to get out there and enjoy the sunshine, and looking forward to this weekend, right? And connecting with brothers in a positive, uplifting space. And I'm glad to be on tonight's show. Always love the topics that you bring and just raising awareness in our community.
So before anyone goes any further, these two brothers are legit. We have known each other for a long time. So I don't bring fluff on the platform. So even if you don't know these gentlemen, they are the real deal. So what I'd like to do, I've known them for a while, but the first time for both of you, can each of you share a little bit of your story to our family here tonight? So a little bit of your background. So who would like to go first?
I'll let my younger brother go ahead first.
Okay.
His dreads aren't as gray as my hair is yet, so yeah, he still has some youth in him.
Okay.
All right, give thanks.
Brother Kofi, go ahead.
100%, give thanks. So my name is, I go by Brother Kofi. Kofi Coach, holistic health coach and life coach, and I'm a father of two beautiful girls. And I'm thankful, to be on this platform and to share a little bit of my journey. Having come up through the process of actually being supported by other elders and community around this topic of health and wellness. I was exposed to, holistic health habits and things like mindfulness meditation and, having, plant-based, participate in plant-based diets and, connecting in community with other people that are on a similar journey to me when I was, in my early 20s, and becoming a father early and being exposed to like the importance of some of the things that I've just shared and how it impacts families, was something that really helped to transform my perspective. Because as a young person, you get involved in different things that you may not always foresee what the future can look like. But I was exposed to a lot of elder men who actually supported me in my journey, as it relates to some of what we're discussing tonight in terms of health and wellness and ways to take care of yourself, your body, your mind, and your spirit. So being exposed to these things like in my early 20s, and I didn't even know what meditation was, right? And a lot of brothers even today, it's a foreign concept outside from, holding a little meditation with their friends in different spaces, as opposed to acknowledging that, there's tools and strategies that are literally ancient that we could be utilizing each and every day. People talk about things like yoga, I exposed to things like Qi Kong, which is similar to Tai Chi. And again, diets that can help to support healthy living. And it really transformed my thinking, being exposed to some of these things young. So I won't go too much into it because I want to ensure my brother gets to introduce, but all of this were things that I started to incorporate into my family, as my daughter was very young. And I found that it opened my eyes because I didn't realize how many people were not exposed to these things. So having these elders to guide me, Elder Kai, a lot of people know Brother Kai near Ma'a in the city, brothers like Nene, there's a lot of folks that, Brother Mateen from One Step Method, a lot of these brothers were doing amazing work and they were just imparting the wisdom to us and we were starting to incorporate into our lives. So I'll stop there. I'll pass it to Brother Paul and then we can keep the ball moving.
Thank you much, Brother Kofi. And I must say that the younger Kofi, I'm also Kofi as well, my day name. However, my background, of course, first and foremost, I'm a Black man that's living here in Toronto, proud Jamaican heritage, even prouder Maroon heritage. So for those who know, we've been running away from oppression for a long time now, right? So that's in the blood. So definitely, one of the things also is that I'm a proud father of 4. I am a husband as well. At the core of everything, I'm a family person and I'm a community person. And those are two of the biggest values and pillars that I live my life and the work that I've come to do in community really has to do with the fact that we want to see healthy families, healthy children, healthy women, healthy Black men.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I maybe get into a little bit more, but of course, one of my journeys along with Dr. Vibe is I founded a Black father site here in Toronto by the name of Jima House.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it might be the only Black father or father-centered space across Canada. If not the only, it
It
was one of
is.
the first.
It still is, and for many years it was the only family-focused father center in all of Canada. And I think
Yeah.
there may be not too many, maybe 1 or 2 more, but it's still a rare breed.
Right. So that's a lot of the work, so that's my background, just to kind of let people know the start. It's about being, a family person, about being a community person, and being a servant to my community, right? And just giving back in that very humble manner. So giving thanks.
Excellent. There's a number of different roads I hope we can go through tonight. And gentlemen, again, this is the first time. I don't want it to be a last time.
For sure.
All
For
right. You
sure.
have a home here. You have a home here. So you've done no more excuses now. You've been here once. So no more excuses. All right.
There you go.
I want to talk about, and just reflection time. Give us your thoughts about your journey as a Black father. I'm going to get to a Black man after, but I think I'm going to talk about Black father first. Can you give some reflections on your journey as a Black father so far?
I can start. One of the most beautiful things and scariest things was becoming a Black father. You know what I mean? as we know, there is no manual, that will tell you what to do. And the first time that my eldest, my son, the first time that I held my son, of course, I cried, I was emotional, but more important, I was unsure, right? Because now I was gifted with this life, and to help guide and direct this life. And there really wasn't a manual, even though I did grow up with my father. But when you're on this journey by yourself, and the midwives left, I was like, where are they going? They're entrusting me with this life, right? But quite naturally, I was able to fall into that level of responsibility, and it really shifted everything in terms of stop seeing myself as just an individual, but really someone who's connected, and responsible for helping to guide another life, to feed, nourish, to be open emotionally, right? Things that I wouldn't necessarily have kind of expressed before. I recognize that it was necessary and fair, for my son and my children to see that daddy can be, balanced and not to be the stereotype of this, macho person. So, and I was blessed to have three more children, you know what I mean? And so shouts to Jao, Sekou, Benny, my only daughter, and then Dwele, and of course my partner Nicole. So, I definitely think that this journey of fatherhood in the beginning was a little bit more challenging, in the sense where I didn't see a lot of other fathers around me, or spaces even, that were welcoming. To me, when I used to take my children out to places, it's more like, okay, what are you doing as a Black man walking around with that children? Black men are not supposed to be taking care of their children, right? And in particular, in the industries such as social work, where it's predominantly dominated by white women, right? And you could see the fear in their eyes when they see a Black man coming through, with a child or not, right? So that was one of the catalysts why we started Ujima House in the first place. But outside of that, it's one of the most rewarding things that I've ever done in my life. To see, your reflection in the pond, as I call it. Some things good, some things challenging, but your children will tell you who you are, right? I always say, children make liars of us all. So all the things that you believe you would never do, say, you do it, right? Out of the love for your children, and the sacrifice of your own self sometimes, and sometimes your own dreams, but also they also push you into realizing some of that. So yeah, my fatherhood journey, it's been 22 years now. My eldest, my youngest is 14, so it's on, continuum. But I definitely say that, hey man, I embrace it. I love this journey. I love my children. You know what I mean? And yeah, this gives me more purpose in my life.
Brother Kofi.
100%. Wow, it's it's so amazing, because I'm reflecting back on my daughter, who's the same age as Paul's eldest. They actually grew up together, playing together, having this is my first experiences having play dates. You know what I'm saying? This is something that we experienced early, and I became a father at 21, and I was the first of my peers, right, to become a father. And interesting thing is that I was ready. What I mean by I was ready is that I was of the mindset that family was important to me. I grew up in a family of extended family. I grew up with cousins and aunties and uncles and what have you, always in our home. Weekend time, folks would always be around. So I grew up in that experience. So coming up as a young man, when I found out that my girlfriend at the time was pregnant, I was actually overjoyed. Like, I was happy. I was like looking forward to this experience. And what it did is it propelled a certain aspect of maturity for me, because I was already kind of thinking further. I was already in a mindset that the things I wanted for my life were not necessarily commonplace to a lot of, like, some of the people that were around us at the time. We had a young promotion business at the time. We were very entrepreneurial minded. some of my peers and what have you. So coming into this piece around fatherhood was almost akin to some of those, how can I call them, like it's like an expedited process of coming into adulthood. So coming into even, as I were talking about health and wellness practices, learning things about African spirituality, there was a lot of support that was provided at the same time. So that's what helped me not to feel like, I was doing it alone, right? That was a big piece for me. Having elders and people that could support and guide the process and talk about things, right? That elders, talking to me about, you should go for walks with your partner, and read her poetry and all of these things, right? And I was like, these are not things that young men were necessarily growing up hearing, and probably still don't hear, unfortunately, right? I was told these things early, so I started to incorporate different aspects and even things around my health, the diet, the food I was eating, things I was doing in terms of health practices. These are things I started to incorporate, and I look at it as it laid a solid foundation, for my daughter and for my family. But not to say there weren't challenges, right? Not to say there weren't challenges. I remember, going to parks, and oftentimes people would ask, because I was actually ended up homeschooling my daughter for about a year and a half. And I'd be at the park with my daughter during the daytime because I worked in the night. And people would say, like, where's the mom, right? And I would say, well, she's at work or she's at school or whatever. But there was like this implicit thought that, I was a single father or something like that, right? That it couldn't have been a family, there couldn't have been,
like you kidnapped her or something.
Not to say not like that, but more just like,
Understood.
they were looking for a sob story. They were thinking that it was a broken family and all these kind of things, right? So I would often be in these different spaces where, I would bring my daughter a lot of places, right? I would go to different events in the community and stuff, and I'd always have my daughter with me. So people often saw just me and her and stuff, because her mom was working or at school. So, because I worked in the night. So I had a great opportunity to be part of, a lot of her early experiences, getting midwives, as Brother Paul was talking about, going to all the appointments, being part of that experience, and then being part of the process of homeschooling my daughter. These are things that, it was an influence of the elders in my life at the time. When our elders Kai, he was running a school at the time, it was an independent African-centered school. So a lot of the support that I was receiving, were from people that were doing great things in the community, that were family oriented, that were very Pan-African, very committed to family, and very committed to holistic ways of being. So I was able to incorporate these things at an early age in the life of my daughter. And again, in terms of my own, maturity and coming up as a young man. And I think that, like, those experiences, I feel like they're priceless. I don't think you can replace those with anything. And I think that's what's missing a lot of the time with a lot of the young men today that are getting into fatherhood, and getting into, relationships, and getting into, and actually running away from things like marriage and commitment because of the lack of support that exists. And they don't have this net of family necessarily in our community. So I think they're more, wanting to live the single life and pursue the single life. But I'm also finding that something's missing because they're coming into their 30s and they're wanting more, right? So I'm gonna pause it there because there's a lot.
Okay, no problem. Periodically, your audio is a little bit crackly. So if it comes up again, I'm just going to politely interrupt you, saying your audio sound a little bit crackly, or I'll just message you on our back chat. But no problem, everything's coming out good. Let me ask then, gentlemen, when did you become passionate about Black manhood? Because I was thinking about talking about men first, but this retreat is for Black men, and not every Black man is a father or a caregiver.
Exactly.
So I thought, let's talk about it. And so when was the moment, or do you realize the moment you became passionate, saying, you know what, it's bigger than me?
Mm-hmm.
Who wants to touch that first?
What I mean, I of course have a community and social work background, and what I was noticing was that, in particular, younger men, in circles, were very silent, right? They were very quiet. The sisters would dominate the conversation, not in a bad way, but a lot of the brothers didn't feel whatever they had to say wasn't worth, being heard. So, I facilitated a rites of passage process here in Toronto for over 20 years for, young people. Thank you. For young people here in the city. And
Hold
I
on a
recognize
second.
it.
Elders too, by the way.
And for
Don't
elders,
forget.
yes, 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 for elders. Thank you. Thank you
And
very
I was
much
a
for elders.
graduate of that first one, by the way, so I didn't want to
Yes,
let
yes,
that
for
slip.
sure. For sure. We can't
Okay.
forget the elders. Hey, listen,
Yes.
you're so young at heart that I was lumping you with the
I
children.
received that. I
There you
received
go. There
that.
you
Keep
go.
on going. No
There
problem.
you go. Yeah. So while noticing that, there was a particular silence, I would more do one-on-one conversations with them and really was amazed, by the insight, the wisdom, some of the dreams that they didn't share in the circle, some of the things that they felt, well, it might make me look a little bit soft or, vulnerable or whatnot, right? So, even though I had been working with young people, in the community in various ways throughout the years, when I did the rites of passage, it made me more passionate to say that, you know what, we need these safe spaces, we need these circles, in particular for our boys who will one day be men, right? And recognizing that, even as Kofi pointed out, a lot of them didn't have caring men, older men in their lives that they could ask the difficult questions, the different life questions, the things that they may be unsure of, they need a little guidance on. A lot of them did not have that. So, to be in those circles for them, I recognize that, yeah, it's great. I can share some of my wisdom, but also bringing in, other men such as yourself, Dr. Vibe, elder males also who could impart, a particular life experience, connection, a journey, right? And recognizing that now we're beginning to create the village, right? Because everybody always says it takes a village, but the question is, where is the village? And if you can't locate the village, how is it going to take a village? You know what I mean? You have to locate the village or create the village or reinforce the village, right? Bring them to the village or the village to them, right? So yeah, I became very passionate over the years around working with young men, and also with, men in general, right? Because I find that a lot of us have missed our rites of passage. We've missed the critical pieces of what does it mean for us to be men, whether that's on an individual journey or that's on a collective journey. And, we'll talk about it later, but I think for my limited interactions with a lot of men, that transition period from the boyhood to manhood and still struggling with that is really a challenge in our lives and our community, I would say. So I'll pass it on to you, brother.
100%, brother. Like I was really thinking about the question in the sense of like when I became passionate about working with young men. I think that because brotherhood was something that was key and critical to a lot of the work that I was doing, in my early 20s, getting involved in business and stuff like that, working together with other brothers. There was always like younger brothers around us that were picking up on some of what we were doing, and we were trying to pass the baton on to them. And that partly came because there were older brothers before us. Literally, like some of our brothers were involved in music and entertainment and business, and they kind of took us under their wing. Um, Specifically, a close friend of mine, his older brother, my older brother, and they were the same age as well. So being exposed to that early, it kind of was like it was just like a natural process, right? To have other younger brothers that we were kind of taking in under our wing and supporting with certain things. But later on, when I got involved in volunteerism, with one of the first organizations called It Takes a Village in Durham, and we were doing like a Saturday program We were doing an after school program, my sister named Ya. And, at that time, being in the space, it was like being able to see younger people eyes light up when we came in the room in terms of having a space that they could come just to reason, get some support, get some tutoring or whatever. I didn't realize how impactful that was for those young people. And then later on, I became involved with ACHA, African Canadian Heritage Association. So big up ACHA for the work that they're still doing in community. And that was a Saturday. It is a Saturday program, but at the time I was volunteering along with Sister Janelle, scared at the time in that program, and being able to again be involved with introductions to rites of passage, and then later on working with Paul with the work that he was doing, rites of passage. We were able to kind of see how impactful it was on the lives of those young men that were getting involved in different things, and coming to group was removing them from certain spaces. And they were having different conversations with us, right? That were absent in the conversations they were having with their peers. And again, around some of the things we've talked about, right? Becoming a young father, or some of their experiences with women, and the girls in their age group and stuff like that, and navigating some of those conversations, the lack of father figures in their life. We became that. We became those father figures. We became brothers that they could bounce ideas, thoughts, and experiences off of. And it made me see the fact that, again, I had older brothers that were taking me under their wing, and I was able to take some of this knowledge and pass it on to them, and how it's just like, it was like gems. It's like jewels that we're passing on to them that they weren't getting elsewhere. So I think, to answer your question like further, Dr. Vibe is like, it was humbling, because I was a young man, but I didn't realize I had something to impart. Like, I didn't realize that I was learning something that could be passed on. And I think a lot of men that I come across that want to do youth work, or they feel like they have something to pass on, they often say, well, I don't know what I can bring. I don't know. They question themselves in terms of thinking that, they need something, but they don't realize that their lived experience is what some other brothers are looking for. They're just looking for somebody who's been there and done it.
Yep.
How do you do it? Right.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I also, as a young person at that time, didn't realize that I had something that I could impart.
Wonderful. Well, we're here with Paul Osbourne and brother Kofi. We're talking about Black manhood, but we're going to take a little bit of a short break, and then we're going to continue with what are some of the challenges they're hearing that Black men are experiencing, and then we're going to transition on how this retreat is going to address some of them. I don't think they're going to be able to address everything, but at least some of them. So we're just going to take a 90-second break, and we're going to get a little bit of a message from someone that I'm getting to know, or two people I'm getting to know, and someone that Paul really respects also. So we'll be back in 90 seconds, right quick.
And that's what I feel like. You feel like you're the Harry Tubman of the mind.
I am.
I feel like I'm I'm one of the Harry Tubmans of intelligent Black people. Like, I want to liberate y'all from like being left behind and ignored and oblivion. No, really, the rappers get all the attention. Seriously, does anybody else feel this way? Like ignorant Black people, they'll be all up, getting all the headlines on the Shade Room.
Overly sexualized Black folks.
Like the twerkers and the just people that don't always represent the best of us. The diversity. Like people like Dr. Vibe. Like, everybody should know about people like Dr. Vibe. Dr.
Really
Vibe he's trying to do good work for Black people. Dr. Vibe from Toronto. Good to see you, my brother. Dr. Vibe. Everybody follow Dr. Vibe. He has a great show. He's very good at what he does, and I have a lot of respect for him. Okay, so let me hop into this. What's up, Dr. Vibe? How you doing? Everybody, if you see Dr. Vibe in the chat, everybody go follow the Dr. Vibe show. Dr. Vibe is a real smart brother and a good human being. I like the guy a lot, and he's very intelligent. And I think everyone should pay attention to what he's got going on. We got to shine the spotlight on the intelligent Black people out here that are really doing the good work. Don't just pay attention to the rappers and the celebrities. A lot of these people are losers. Your true winners are your people in your community that are really having your back. Helping us to have stronger families and a stronger community. So Dr. Vibe is in that category. So you might see the Dr. Vibe show in this chat. If you see him, please go follow him. Okay. All right. So anyway.
All right. Shout out from Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. Yeah, I wanted to make sure I played that specifically for Paul because I know he would appreciate that big time. And just FYI, Paul, actually in about 2 weeks' time, Dr. Alicia Watkins is going to be on talking about the Black family.
Nice.
So
Beautiful.
she's a monthly guest on the Dr. Vibe show. So it's an honor and pleasure to have her here. But right now we're talking with Paul and Brother Kofi about the Power of Now men's wellness retreat that's happening this Saturday, as long as you're watching it before September 30th, 2023. And before we get to the actual event, I want from both you to share with our family, what are some of the challenges you're hearing that Black men are dealing with at this time in 2023 and September 30th?
You know, one of the clear things I find, and it manifests in very various ways, you know, but I think really there's a crisis of identity, right? On one level, you know, there's a crisis of identity around who we are from a cultural place, right? What we're connected to, what are our cultural values, you know, what are our cultural norms, you know, what anchors us as a people, right? So we begin to float, and then other influences are able to come in. So we adapt, you know, other things that are not always in line or the best for us, right? So there's that aspect. And then I think there's also the aspect around what is manhood and what is our source? What are our sources for knowing what manhood is? And very often, you know, our sources are Eurocentric, you know, chauvinistic, patriarchal type of sources of what manhood is. And then we struggle with trying to play that role that is not for us, right? So we believe, for example, you know, okay, I'm not a man if I'm in a relationship and I'm making more money than my partner. I'm not a man if I'm always the one, if I'm not in the position to always buy things, materialistic, you know, to make me, you know, feel better as being who I am, right? A man only does this particular thing, right? And I think if we were to be honest, you know, I'm going to just really, you know, talk about, you know, a Caribbean background, right? How many of us are fathers cook? Fathers cook? How many of our fathers sew? The best tailor in my family is my dad.
Actually,
right?
ironically, my dad's father was a tailor in Montego Bay, Jamaica.
You know what I'm saying?
And
So
and
now
my
we come
dad,
here,
yeah.
let's just say I'm in high school, right? And you don't take home ec. You don't learn to cook. You don't learn to sew. You don't learn these things because, yo, those are girly things, brethren. You're a soft man. All right, now let's forward. Now we become fathers. Now we become big men. Now we become, you know, partners in a relationship. And we're trying to, you know, play a role that was not fit for us. You know, I'm part of many circles of Black men. And I'm telling you, one of the greatest struggles is really that emotional piece. Like I don't feel that I can even be open, you know, to my partner, to other Black men, and more importantly, to myself. So then I'm going to do things to numb that need to express myself. And like I said, it manifests in many ways.
Yeah.
Right? But I think for me, the greatest struggle right now is we have a crisis of identity of who we are as Black men and as people of African descent. And I find that is really a huge challenge amongst other things, but that's one of the things I would like to definitely identify because, you know, I've seen, you know, the talk, I've heard the tears, you know, I mean, I've seen it, really around, what is a man? And then the other piece, of course, is that we don't have enough men in our community that are helping other men become better men. We have a crisis there, right? So, and I applaud people such as Kofi and yourself, Dr. Vi, because I know you've taken up the mantle. I've seen it, I've experienced it, right? And I think it's important that we encourage, brothers who are listening out there and the sisters and whoever, what I mean? Encourage Black men to support Black men. Encourage Black men to support younger Black men. Encourage Black men to support women. Encourage Black men to support their daughters and younger women and whatnot. Because that role, in particular if you're in your, let's call it your older adult or eldership role.
In your journey.
It's critical. It's critical.
Kofi, you want to add? I'm going to make a comment after you finish, Brother Kofi, but go continue, please.
No, it's huge. Like connecting that identity piece to leadership, and the fact that there's a lot of work with little hands, right? There's a lot of work and not many hands to do the work. I'm part of a couple of different men's groups, in Toronto, in the city, and one of them, being the Lion Circle. And oftentimes when we're doing work in the community, as soon as people hear that there's some kind of men's leadership group, they're like, where are you guys? Where do we find you? A, B, C, and D, right? And it's like, it's almost as though there's this void, right? There's this void of Black leadership, of Black male leadership. And when there's that void, oftentimes, and when there's a few people that are doing the work, that work falls on a few people, right? So a lot of brothers who are doing the work can be overwhelmed in doing the work. Because remember, we still have families, we still have responsibilities, we still have careers, we have all these things in our personal lives. So this work that we're doing often is something extra, right? It's something you do after work. It's something you do on the weekend. So what I find the challenge is a lot of men these days, I find they're not in a space to be able to step into those roles. So what I find is that there's a lack of direction, right? So, there's a saying that says, if you don't know where you're going, any road will lead you there, right?
Absolutely.
My brother I'm blind likes to say that quote. And I say that because when you lack direction, you'll kind of latch on to anything. And a lot of the things that they're latching onto are the popular stereotypes. So you ask a lot of young men, what do you want to be? What do you want to do? What did they say? I want to be a rapper. I want to be a ball player, right? These are like the categories that they're falling into. And going back to what Paul was saying about having like these core skills that you can utilize to navigate aspects of life. If you haven't been taught those core skills, then unfortunately there is this void and there's this gap of knowledge, of information that you need to navigate your life. So what does that lead to, right? That leads to exactly that. There's a lack of clarity. So what am I supposed to be doing with my life? When I'm 18, when I'm 20, when I'm 22, what am I supposed to be doing? Well, the system tells me I'm supposed to go to school. Some of our brothers are not pursuing post-secondary because they're not clear of direction. They don't know where to go. They don't even know what is my passion beyond playing ball, listening to music, A, B, C, and D, right? It's like this little box, right? So as a result, they're seeking something, but they don't know what they're seeking. So they latch on to certain things. So that's how they get involved in a lot of street life things. At the end of the day, why? Because it leads to, yes, there's a camaraderie, the brotherhood that they're seeking, the older father figure that they're missing a lot of the time. They're seeking that, but there's also an outlet there financially. They feel like if I do this, I can make money. What do I want to make? What do I need to make money for? Well, I need to buy the sneakers. I need to get the nice car. I need to do the things that society is going to make me feel like a man. Society is going to give me respect if I have these things, right? So it's like this constant cycle, because when you start running after that and you get involved with some of the things that you shouldn't be, what happens? You end up with a record. So you don't have your post-secondary. Maybe you got high school, but you don't have your post-secondary, got a criminal record now. So now your options start to become limited. So now you're looking more towards street life for some kind of future that you think might be there, right? But as we all know, a lot of brothers end up dead, in jail, right? etc. So it's like they're lacking direction, they're lacking focus, they're lacking a healthy brotherhood to kind of guide them on a particular journey. And then oftentimes one of the rites of passages, unfortunately, they get it, that happens is, you know, again, either the street life, getting involved with something illegal, right? Getting a girl pregnant, whether it's their girlfriend or a girl that they've just slept with, as a result of putting themselves out there with the machismo and all of that, right? So now they get the respect, and so now they're on this particular path, and now when they look back at the last 2-3 years of their lives, they can't say, how did I get here? Right? How did I get here? You know, but they don't see this firm way forward. So I mean, there's a lot there that I've said, but I just want to say at the end of the day, lack of direction, lack of clarity of focus, going back to the lack of identity that wraps all of that together, and then not having some of the core skills to navigate the next steps and stages in life. Not having some form of a degree that can at least say, okay, right, that doesn't mean just because you have the degree, you're going to get a job either, right? But
That's right.
at least it's like a step in the right direction, and you can network and connect with people that are in more of a professional environment to maybe you can utilize some of those skills moving forward. And then they're lacking some of the core skills. So as a result, they're trying to find a way, make a way for themselves. And everybody's pointing at them and saying, hey, how come you're not doing this? You're supposed to be doing that. You're this age now. Sometimes some of the support that was needed throughout, they didn't receive. And now they are where they are, right? So this is where something like the Power of Now Wellness Retreat comes in, because it provides that sense of brotherhood, provides that sense of connection, provides that sense of clarity around purpose, you know what I'm saying, and understanding identity and the root of where we're coming from, connecting yourselves to these sources, and at least opening up the door to figure out, what do I really want to be doing with my time? What do I really want to be doing with my life? And who am I? Answering that question.
Wow. Well, you know what? You are a host's dream, because you segued nicely into what we want to chat about. I was going to say something, but it's not about me, it's about we. So I want to get well, by the way, for those who are watching this live on the replay, I've posted the link for the men's retreat in the comments. I posted at the beginning, and I posted again about 10 minutes ago. I know if I put on the screen, people say, well, I can't copy this. I can't copy this. Well, you don't need to. It's in the comments section. So I save you the work. So I want to know from both of you, how did this become a reality? Where did the idea come? Give us the journey on from the ideation to reality.
For sure.
I'll get my younger brother to share that, because this is really his wheelhouse around,
Okay. Yes.
Healthy spaces, healthy things for Black men. But go ahead, Brother Kofi.
Well, the powerful thing in terms of Brother Paul is that it was the seed of rites of passage, right? It was the work we were doing in rites of passage. So we are 2005, 2006 rites of passage initiates. Our group, myself, Paul, and 8 other folks from community make up a group called Dua Crow. And Dua Crow is an Adinkra symbol, which is a West African symbol that represents a tree. And saying is basically no lone tree. The whole concept of unity and coming together to do work, as we were one of the first groups, part of a group called Yensumu, that started the process, or brought back, let's say, process of rites of passage. Started over 40 years ago in Cleveland, Ohio. Folks were coming from Toronto, going to Cleveland for rites of passage. And some of those elders, Nene Kwazikafele, Sister Joanne, Brother Sipo, Kwaku, came together and supported our group. A couple of the members of our group, myself and Paul, Brother Malik, Brother Sabri, we came together and we had a retreat. We had a retreat for young men. This was 2006. And again, supported by some of the elders from our community, some of that I've mentioned, Shekam Kai, Nene, Brother Blind, different brothers supported this initiative back in 2006, and that's where the process of the whole retreat took place. So we started out in the creek, Black Creek, Keelan Finch, And we spent, a night and a day together and connecting with martial arts, connecting, in reasoning spaces, connecting, breaking bread together, sleeping. At that point, we were, we bunked out on the Friday night going into the Saturday. I woke up early Saturday morning to have the day of the retreat on the road together. And this is kind of how the seed was planted in terms of the process of Power of Now coming together and really seeing the importance of having this background of wellness and health related focuses. Because a lot of brothers oftentimes are going through things health wise and they don't like to talk about it, right? And again, if you don't have a father figure, somebody in your life that you can bounce ideas and thoughts off of and experiences off of, who do you talk to about those things if you don't have that outlet? So this provided that outlet, and it just kind of started the process of the Power of Now Wellness Retreat for Black men.
Wonderful. Paul, you had to have something to do with this. You
Oh
didn't
yeah,
have
yeah,
nothing.
for sure. So one of the definitely. So one of the aspects that I always love to highlight is play. The importance of Black men and Black boys playing. So in all that health stuff we did, we were laughing, we were playing, we were joking, and in terms of bringing that aspect to the actual retreat, so people don't think that we're going to just, all be serious, is bringing those games, that play, that connection, right? And that became my role in the genesis of this happening, and also connecting community, right? So a lot of my work I do, again, like I said, I do like whether it's rites of passage or African-centered engagement with Black men and Black youth. I connect folks to these type of opportunities, and Kofi and I do some of the facilitating. He does more of the facilitating when it comes to the health stuff, but really around the culture and identity pieces, that's really where I come in, right? And make those connections around, what does identity mean to us as Black men, and the multitude of things that it can mean, right? So we're not walking away and saying Black men only do this, Black men only say this, Black men, we hear the limitations. Black men only play particular sports, right? We don't, and then it's funny because every sport they say that we don't play, we've come to a place now of dominating in those arenas,
Mhm.
But really, the play aspect and the culture and identity aspect really is what I help to bring to this. And of course, we've been doing it and we've been supporting each other. The pandemic, of course, was a little bit of a challenge, but we want to make this an annual event, and wouldn't be remiss without mentioning the space that it's going to be at ADINKRAFARM. We talk about we need our 40 acres and a mule. So for all our international folks listening, we got 40 acres. We have 40 acres plus.
That's right.
Actually, you know what? A few things before. First of all, got a comment here on YouTube. Negus Medin says, "Great conversation, much needed for Black men and the health and wellness." It's interesting. Little short story I've shared on some of the other conversations I've had recently. There's a Black gentleman who has known me since I has been born, who lives in it. Well, he lives in Toronto. He's a member of the Toronto Police Force for about 30 years, retired. Him and his wife since 1977 have owned 200 acres of farmland in Orono, just outside of Peterborough. So I know a Dinko farm will always take you in, but if you ever need a backup location, we could probably do something there. And I share this because it was amazing. He had a get together for a number of people, including myself, a few weeks ago, and I asked him, "Can you I see the land? Can you just drive around?" And he says, "Jump in the pickup truck," and he drove me around his 200 acres of land for half an hour. And he said, "Take a look at this. Everything here is my and my wife since 1997, as far as you can see."
Beautiful. And I want to put a challenge out to our listeners out there, whether you're, Black men or not. When was the last time you intentionally went out into nature just to connect. You know, and when I say go into nature, I'm not talking about your backyard. I'm like, leave the city, right? We see this in particular, and just to add to this, you know, especially during the pandemic and even post-pandemic, the importance I've noticed of Black people either, you know, accessing land, buying land, you know, finding ways to get off the grid, all the things again, where when we were coming up, we're like, only white people go to college. Only white people, you know what I mean? Like, so I think this is also a great thing to see that, you know, Black people, Black men, you know, we're seeing a value of getting out there. And I want to hail up my brother Negus. Negus, yes, we're gonna have you on a podcast one time. Negus Medin, holistic practitioner, drummer, everything like that. We want to hail you up, you and your family. And yes, brother, we're gonna have you on the show. We'll have to twist Dr. Vibe's arm to make it happen. Not too much though.
We
We're
don't
gonna
know.
do it.
There's
We're gonna do it.
there's
We're gonna
room
have you on
for everybody.
the show, and definitely Negus has said he'll be there at the retreat. So we look forward to seeing you, my brother.
For both of you, what should Black men look forward to this Saturday?
So part of what like Brother Paul just mentioned, right? You can't take for granted the informal connection of just coming together, cracking some jokes, playing some games, right? Kicking some ball, right? And being able to be in that space with other brothers. You know, a lot of men talk about the stresses and the challenges of the day-to-day life of balancing family, balancing work, not having enough time for self, right? So being able to actually come out of the city and connect with other brothers in nature, you know what I'm saying? Being able to breathe that fresh air, but also being able to reflect on what's important to them, you know, and what's important to them right now in their lives. And being able to have that at the forefront of the weekend. Good food, always. We like to break bread together and reason together as we're breaking bread. We'll be connecting in African drumming and martial arts specifically, and tying some of the connections between martial arts and our culture. And the whole piece around, we talked about the whole piece around identity, right? And being able to acknowledge that these ancient arts, these martial arts came from our people, right? So to be able to actually learn some things that are practical strategies that you can use in terms of defending yourself, but also understanding your own energy, and being able to navigate that in this space that is quite often not supportive of us, right? So that whole piece of acknowledging that sense of connection between other brothers and being able to pass on some of the wisdom and knowledge that maybe you've gained on your journey to other brothers. We'll be getting in conversations in regards to fatherhood and matter, in regards to health and wellness, and in regards to what we talked about in terms of the martial arts piece, but also with the games, breaking bread, good food and reasoning and togetherness in that sense. And also getting a tour of the land, as brother Dr. Navarre just talked about, the importance of connecting to the land. If it's your first time, a lot of brothers have been wanting to come up for quite some time, coming out of the city, like, yo, I want to go, I want to be up there because, you know, I need that sense of release. I need that, you know, that feeling of freedom as you connect and coming out. So this is your opportunity to do so. If transportation is a problem, definitely, you know, contact us. We do have some carpool, you know, opportunities. As long as you let us know beforehand, we can do our best to organize transportation up, because it's about 1 hour and 30 minutes north of the city, but also being able to connect with our brothers and our elders on the land as well. We've been doing some amazing work in that regard as well. So it'd be definitely good to have brothers connect in this space. This is not the last time. This is the second annual Power of Now annual retreat, but we also have mini retreats that we do in the city as well. So I always say, if you can't make it to this one, send us an email, right? You can send an email to getwellstayfit@gmail.com, getwellstayfit@gmail.com. You can follow Cosmic Wellness Group on Instagram. You can also go to Kofi Coach 2K, KOFI Coach 2K on Instagram. The Scar Pod podcast, Brother Paul is going to speak a little bit to that as well. But that's another virtual space that you can connect if you're looking to connect on that level in terms of the multimedia piece. So these are some of the areas that we're going to be getting into. But the ability to connect, if you can't get to this one, We'll add you to our email list, and we'll be sending you valuable information that you can utilize throughout the year so that you can connect, because we're providing a form of membership that's going to also give you access to different products and services being provided by Black business owners in the city. So Mama's Life Products has been one of the products that companies that have supported the work that we're doing. We'll be doing some giveaways relative to that. Fresh and Famous will be doing some giveaways relative to that as well. So definitely, connect with us. I'm so thankful for being in this space. I want to thank Dr. Vibe. I know we're not wrapping just yet, but I want to just take this time to thank Dr. Vibe for the space he's created for us tonight. And I'm going to pass it to Brother Paul.
Yeah, and I just really clearly for me, the ability to just be, right? In particular, I will say with Black men, we do not prioritize self-care, right? Our sisters do a much better job. They'll go to the spa, they'll get their nails done, they'll go on their road trips, they'll do all these kind of things that I'll say we, and me in particular, need to learn a lot more from. So when you go out there and you just want to be, you just want to be quiet sometimes, be still, take a walk on the land, because sometimes that's as value as connecting with folks. I mean, you need a balance, but trust me, if you come out to the land, and again, it's Black owned, Kwame and Janelle, thank you so much for allowing us to have it at the space. But yeah, just come on out, and just be. And like Kofi says, hopefully you can make it this time. If not, hit us up, and we will definitely see what we can do here in the city with you. And it's really prioritizing, self-care for Black men and their families.
Okay. Before we let you both leave, want to hail up, Brother Kwame was featured in I don't know if it was this week or there's a new mini series on City TV on Sunday evenings being produced by Allison Duke. And I saw a clip and he's part of this feature. And hail up Sister Janelle, who's going to be receiving an award at the upcoming Afro Global Annual Awards. So
yes.
Congratulations, big time on that. So before we let both you gentlemen leave, because I know you always got things to do, what do you want Black men to leave with what do you want Black men to feel on Sunday?
I want Black men to feel
on October 1st. How do you want them to feel? Or what after
I want Black men to
30th?
feel that they're deserving of rest, self-care, and connection, and giving ourselves that permission to actually, enjoy ourselves. And it sounds like a simple thing, but most of us are caught up in that rat race. But I want people to feel more connected to each other. Like we have a community, we have a family. You know what I mean? And big up Mr. Vidal as well.
Yes, I saw he's got his comments here.
There you go.
Saying big up
I want
to
Black men
brothers
to feel
Kofi.
more connected to each other and to your own self, to feel you deserve that self-care and that love, and to keep building from there.
Brother Kofi, what do you want Black men who attend on Saturday to feel on Sunday?
Grounded, connected, restored, rejuvenated, and balanced.
Yes.
All right.
And if I could just plug this, because I think it's so important. Brother Vidal and others, if you can, right, or if you whether one, you can either start a circle of support for Black men, if not, find one. So I'm gonna hail up Durham Men's Club, Lions Circle, Iron Sharps Iron, right? So those are some of the groups that I know of, and reach out. Those brothers are doing some serious work, some beautiful connection. So I want to kind of hail up, find a group to connect with. Very important. Don't try to do it alone, right? Yeah. So I want to kind of just end on that note for myself. Just really find a circle of Black men, of supporting Black men in care.
100%. And if you're looking again to connect shoot us an email. Depending on where you're at in the city, maybe it'll connect you with one of the groups that were just mentioned, right? Because sometimes we're like, where do I connect? Where do I go? So shoot us an email, and let's keep the connection.
Well, it was worth the wait all these years. Paul and Brother Kofi, we have started as an old song by, was it Finally It Happened to Me? I can't remember what song. There
you go.
And Paul knows how to break down. When he breaks down, you Brother Kofi, we've seen him in action, right?
That's right. That's right.
All right. Well, there's the email address. Here's the link. Now, again, I've put it in the comments section, so I just put it up here, but you say, oh, I can't copy it. Well, it's in the comments section on whatever platform you watch this epic conversation. Got another, and again, want to shout out Ched C. Goes, what's up, Brother Kofi?
Bam. Big up yourself, Brother Chedwick.
All right, good stuff.
And
well,
thanks, Brother Vidal, all the brothers who chimed in tonight, Brother Negus. Listen, there are some great brothers doing amazing work in this city. So,
and brothers, you have a home here. Why don't you broadcast and share what you're doing, not only for Toronto, but for the world globally?
Absolutely.
Right? Absolutely, because I'm blessed to chat with people around this saying, what's going on with Black men in Toronto? I'm not the president of Black men of Canada. Thank you very much. There are many other men out there, and I don't want that, and I'm not going to take that responsibility. There's many great Black men like these, and hopefully others. Vidal, the mic's open. People may not realize Vidal, I interviewed Vidal long time ago when his book Detox was released.
Damn, you aging a brother, man. How was long time ago?
So there we go. So gentlemen, I want to wish to you, both your families and all the men and families that you serve, to past, present, and future. Don't just manage your time, manage your energy, and remember to give yourselves grace.
Thanks, brother. Respect.
Thank you, brother.
All right. We'll see you back here soon. Maybe you can come back after the retreat. Allah. Okay. All right. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Brother Kofi. Fantastic. Epic conversation. Thank you so much, everyone who checked this out. And thank you, Vidal. Thank you, Ched C. Much appreciated, not taken for granted. So, again, Saturday, can you check it out? Can you check it out this Saturday? So, you can watch replays of epic conversation like this on the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, and the Dr. Vibe Show website, the DRVIBESHOW.com. A few other last things we want to do please subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. Also follow the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. To advertise your business, product, or service, email me dr@the.drvibeshow.com. And again, you can watch replays, got that. And also, again, here's the link, the Power of Wellness Retreat. There we go. So as we close out here, this is how we do it. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions. Then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Remember to give yourselves grace and don't just manage your time, manage your energy. God bless, peace, well, keep the faith, and follow the show, and also tell people about it. God bless, peace, well, keep the faith, walk good. Listen.